Thank you, sir. Oh, you're getting up. Well, as well you should.
Good evening.
Oh, okay.
Welcome.
Good afternoon, just in case.
Well, good morning. So I've known this character for about 30 years, it turns out. And I met him in early childhood, obviously. But
Mine.
every once in a while we talk about longevity in this business and who survives and all the people who disappear. You know, some names suddenly occur to you. I remember him. Whatever happened to? What do you think are the keys, the common denominators of longevity in this business?
Oh, my God. That is so easy to be flip about, but I won't do it. I mean, it depends on what you write about us and what you decide to produce. That's one of the keys. But it's much more intertwined with your inner, how shall I say, self-knowledge. It really is, because the failure is so difficult. The success is more difficult. You learn much more from failure than you do from success. We wouldn't be in this business if we didn't need love, if we didn't need to be acknowledged, if we didn't need to have a sense of security in that others think we have something to say. So, since we're so in need of all those things, the success is so difficult because then you think you don't deserve it.
Mm-hmm.
Or you wouldn't be so in need of having it. So I would say self-knowledge, self-exploration, a way of really being honest with yourself when you question who you are.
But you have still stayed at the center of the whole business. What keeps you going?
Me personally?
Yeah.
I love the familial environment of a set. I was never nervous, Peter, on a soundstage. Nervous, very nervous on a stage, because that's instant humiliation. You know right now how you're doing. You hear ice in a glass chinkling around in Vegas, you know you're doing something wrong. You've got to have the silence. So this environment with the lights and it's warm and people care, you know they really do, because their lives and their work is at stake if you don't do well. I love the act of being another person. I mostly love what it's like to sit in between setups and get to know the people you're working with, including the director, but mostly the other actors. Because at those moments, you're the most emotionally honest. You're expected to be honest all day, and your job is to facilitate your emotional equipment. So therefore, if you're not honest in between shots, you're not going to be honest on the camera. That's why people fall in love with each other on movie sets. Because it's real sexy to, oh my God, I know what that person is. You know, we walk around with such disguises in our lives that when it comes time to being honest, it's very tough. Not so on a movie set.
But, you know, actors enjoy, as you say, the process of taking another personality. But, you know, I think on front of the camera, producers, studio heads, they reinvent themselves constantly in order to perpetuate themselves. So I think they too share that desire to assume another identity, you know? I think that may be a key for survival on the other side.
Yeah. What I find interesting about the studio heads and people, they never know what the above the line really thinks of them. They think maybe we think they're using us, or we think we know we're using them. Everybody sort of knows they're being used. It's not called a big knife for nothing. So you see these relationships and revolving door of studio heads. Half the time I forgot to remember who they were, because they were gone the next year anyway.
That's right.
And how they, see, in the old days when I first came to Hollywood, the Louis B. Mayers and Jack Warners and Frank Freemans, I mean, this guy from the South, but they lived and breathed and ate and dreamed films. It wasn't like an agency, and now it's run by agents basically and marketing.
Yeah, but you know, in all fairness, really, when you look, I knew Jack Warner, when you deal with some of those folks in that golden area, excuse me, when you deal with some of those folks in that golden era, you forget that the whole system was one and all, controlled by one.
Sure.
In other words, today, it's a disaggregated system. The exhibitions are owned separately, all these polyglot companies.
Right.
So I think you can't really compare them. The driver of a studio today, the man or woman who runs the overall studio today is in a much different business than Jack Warner was.
True, and the studio system is gone. I was one of the last that was under contract in the old studio system. But there's a way you could still make multiple picture deals with actors, young actors that you have a future invested in, where you give them talent lessons, this or that, teach them how to light themselves, teach them how to dress, since everybody's in the fashion business these days, which I find really, oh my God. So every time you eat a cookie, you're thinking, there goes that red carpet, not walking on that one.
The studios really would take their stars and groom them and educate them in those days.
Yeah.
They really would.
And we knew each other.
Yeah.
We had dressing rooms, and we used to hang out and go in and out of the lunch times seeing each other and talking about life and the latest marriage or the latest divorce or this and that.
Roddy McDowell walking me around the MGM lot, now the Sony lot, one day and saying, and that is where I went to school.
Yeah.
The whole idea of going to school on the lot.
Yeah, but that was like a cottage industry now. These are multinational companies.
Right.
The revenues and the expenses are so enormous, like a small country now, each film in terms of what they
If that
cost.
was a school, it would be a business school.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah,
and
but
I
they
think
all
that's the
take it
difference.
so seriously about marketing and who is their target audience
Yeah.
that they lose the whole reason for having films in the first place, called vision. I want to dream my vision. Who's doing that?
Yeah, well, you know, at the end of the day, you're right, but some folks still do. Some of these filmmakers and some of these writers and some of the writer-producers,
They do, but not the studio heads.
Well,
Not because they're run by marketing
I think what
people.
Shirley is saying is the tail is wagging the dog in terms of it's all about marketing, and that determines what pictures are made to a large degree.
I can tell you 2 or 3 scripts that I know of that have been turned down, as was Terms of Endearment, just to use one in my experience, by everybody in town because marketing didn't know who the target audience was. Well, make your audience. Instead of recreating that which you know works, create something.
Yeah, I think that's noble and correct, but I think what really has happened is as long as I've been in the business from the late 60s, we've always seen studios pass on projects. Many, many, many of them. And then somebody like Star Wars, they finally make it. So I don't
You
think
passed
that...
on that, as I recall.
No. I
In
didn't.
your shoes, that is represented in our paper variety as a chick flick. Do you believe it's a chick flick, and do you believe there is such a thing as chick flicks?
Oh, yeah. I can't think of a chick flick that I could name right now, but it's not a chick flick, Peter,
isn't.
because it's about a family who's had some really profoundly difficult problems. You have me, a grandmother, whose daughter committed suicide and whose grandchildren don't know that she's alive. Not whether. They don't even question. They've never been told she's alive. That's a chick flick? I don't think so.
Well, but Peter might be. But actually, when you look at that picture and the way it's promoted and the way it's centered, in the promotion, there is some of that element there.
Well, then we got to talk to them because they hate the idea that it's tagged as a chick flick.
Yeah, that's the complications of the good
Women
sell.
are in it, so therefore it's a chick flick. Oh, please.
So what keeps you going today? I still ask that question again. What really keeps you going today? Keep looking for those wonderful parts. You had all the accolades, the Academy Awards, the nominations. What is the real drive?
May I rephrase the question?
All right.
As someone,
You always do for everybody in your paper, so you might as well do it for me.
as someone whose first role was under Hitchcock.
Wow,
Right.
I forgot
it
that.
Not
seems
under him, not quite.
It was for Hitchcock.
I was
He
one
was-
who missed the casting.
He was sort of roly-poly anyway. It would be sort of difficult. Well,
Oh, not that hard.
That was his problem.
No, he had others, but not that.
To get back to the question, that if you start with the greats like that, I would think it would make it more difficult to sort of to work for people who you knew indeed are somewhat lesser lights.
No, I know I've worked with everybody. I counted it up. I've worked with all the greats except Zinnemann and Lean. So that's pretty good.
Yeah.
But I can't say that it got more and more difficult to find somebody good? No, because the directors were coming up and understanding better what they were doing. Hitch never said a word anyway. You know, he always thought it was the script in the first preview. You want to hear how he directed me the first day?
Sure.
He walked up to me and he said, "Genuine chopper, my darling, genuine chopper." And that was that. So I turned to Mildred Natwick and to John Forsythe and said, "What are you talking about?" It's Cockney slang, they said, but you have to figure it out. So try to figure it out. What is a synonym for genuine?
Real.
Right. Chopper.
Slasher? Killer? Sounds like 3 syllables? What?
Axe.
Oh.
Real axe.
Relax.
Boy, that's Cockney
Why didn't
slang.
he just tell you, chill out? I mean, what was all that stuff about?
First of all, they never had the word chill then, and second of all, there's a little bit of a kind of witty sadism in him.
Yeah.
And he said another time, "Dog's feet," before you say that line. That means pause. So I had to be up to snuff with my gray matter up there, and I thought, does everybody do it this way?
I can see. That's an initiation.
Yeah. But longevity, it is a difficult and very interesting and complicated question, and I don't know how. I like the idea of, not knowing what I'm going to do. I like the unpredictability. I'm in love with unpredictability.
Well, there's no certainty anyway, so it's illusion.
Right. So I'm in the right business.
Right, yeah, for sure.
I don't like knowing. I don't have one single habit, to tell you the truth. So there's nothing.
Is
I don't
there
know,
a
habitual.
consistency in terms of when you're doing a film that you get a sense this is working or this is not working? Are your instincts pretty reliable about that?
Absolutely not. I thought we should all go to a home after Terms of Endearment.
Yeah.
I'm in the motion picture home now. I'm going to rent my bed because it was not easy.
Yeah.
But Jim likes to work with chaos. He likes to work with eccentric, emotional unreliability. He gets that going with his actors. I sort of disagree with that, but that's what he likes to do. No, I have never been able to determine any picture I've been in whether it was going to work or not. Better with other people, but not with my own.
By other people, you mean when friends talk to you about things that they're in, you
Right.
can get a sense of
Yes.
is it cooking or not?
Yes.
Yeah.
When I saw March of the Penguins, long time before anybody did, I thought, whoa, this is a hit. These little birds marching across. Can you see the guy who wanted $8 million for? I have this idea that birds walk across the ice. I need $8 million. Can I have? I mean, would you give him $8 million?
Not unless he gave me another cell like, this is a movie about the only creatures who have sex standing up. That would have been a good cell.
Oh, Peter, you got to go to work for the
I think you.
penthouse.
I think you better.
I can cut
pause
that.
a moment. You know.
Dog's feet
How
right
about
now,
you
dog's
just-
feet.
relax. You know.